Welcome back to the wonderful and sometimes terrifying world of dinosaurs, everyone. I'm your host, Swift Edge, and we are back inside the fantastic channel of Goji Guy, this time with the most unstoppable hybrid and the creation of it all. We've witnessed the most powerful hybrid in history, which was Hank, and the fact of how it got upgraded with some assistance from Goji Center. And Goji Guy actually commented when I reacted to that, saying that if I loved Hank that much, I was most likely gonna love Reiner. Who is Reiner? I'm assuming this big beefy boy here! Hope you got your snacks, hope you got your drinks, because we're gonna really find out who Reiner really is. By the way, you better have had your water.
The hybrid war. You know, when I made Hank to take on the Indom 2.0, I would have never in a million years have expected his attempt to inspire so many others to create their own killer of killers.
Sometimes you don't know what happens
new animals
until
are
you
used
try
more
something.
and more. People find ways to make their creature even more powerful than the last. To put it blunt, at this point, it's a game with metas. At the start before the rules were at play, everyone just went wild. Once realism was a factor, people wanted to make the largest, then the sharpest, and then the most resistant. Every day, people make more hybrids, pushing the boundaries of the hybrid war further and further.
But you gotta enjoy
and well,
that.
I take my rest. Like
You
Thanos,
started it.
after making Vex, to demolish any hybrid in her way in the seas, and Hank 2.0, who is eagerly awaiting his arrival to Skull Island with the Indom. But now what? I mean, we plan on upgrading Vex in the near future, which will have a merch drop, by the way, I promise. And I may make some more later on the road, but for now, I rest my book. It's been a good run. I've realized to make the best hybrid is to do it peacefully. Many of the top predators evolved to inflict the most damage, the most pain, and the most bleeding as possible. The T-Rex, and its bite that can pop lesser life forms. Snakes, and their venom that can solidify your blood. And birds that can snipe you out of the sky at 200 miles an hour. All of these traits, and
Birds
yet
are nuts.
still, predators aren't the main life form here on Earth. Prey, herbivores, sauropods, cattle, animals that don't go out of the way to sharpen their teeth or perfect their aim. These beasts, despite not being made to kill, are able to contend and beat animals that were built by Mother Nature to rip them to shreds. All these traits, and yet still, predators aren't the dominant force on Earth. It's the prey. The ones who endure. Elephants trample lions, bison break wolves, and hippos snap crocs. They aren't built to kill, but built not to die. So if predators have dominated the hybrid war, then maybe it's time we build a creature that doesn't need to hunt to win. A hybrid born from giants
Just needs to
who were never meant to
defend.
fight, but can kill when demanded to do so. Today, we make the super prey, an animal built to survive. If he were to die to anything, it would be on his own accord. Today, we build a hybrid that snaps limbs in half, crushes skulls, and drowns his pursuers. Today, we build the most robust hybrid in the hybrid war.
Woo!
Hello everyone, I'm your host Goji Guy, and let's be real, most of you guys know me at this point, and today is finally time to make a new hybrid. The bills won't pay themselves, and also because it's been a minute since I've made one. In my last videos, we have made some of the most overkill predators to ever exist, from Hank to Vex and Hank 2.0. Time and time again, we find new ways to push the hybrid war and its limits, and man do the predators love it. But for real, in today's video, we're gonna take a page out of my buddy Madly Mesozoic's book and make a super prey, if you will. A creature not built to kill, but equipped with an arsenal that with his looks alone, will scare off any predator that may be looking at him as a snack. In today's video, I'm happy to introduce you to the newest hybrid of Goji Industries. While Goji Corp has Hank and Indom and gets them ready for battle, and Vex is off exploring the ocean with her siblings, we are here to humbly make a new hybrid. One that's not meant for battle, but just because he's adorable.
So, taking a look, and that's a perfect picture to pause on, you take a look at this bright red, and in nature, bright red colors are supposed to be a signifier to a lot of other animals that, hey, maybe stay away from this. When it comes to certain types of frogs, you have the bright, vibrant color, and that's usually to recognize that these are dangerous, that these are capable of hurting you, because a lot of them are toxic. Just like, again, a lot of other animals have those bright, vibrant colors to maybe show off to predators of, don't freaking mess with this. And this right here, if you saw this out in the wild, I'm so sorry, saw this out in the wild, you'd probably be thinking, I'm dead, I'm screwed. And you'd probably be right, because this thing is most likely, I'm calling right now, built for the ultimate defense. And if you have a really good defense, it can sometimes be the best offense of where you can kill anything.
No, he may look like a hellspawn, but I swear, you will come to love him. In today's
I
video,
already do.
we create the
I love his
cutest
design.
over-the-top hybrid. Introducing Reiner. And if you want to see content ranging from dinosaurs, hybrids to kaiju in your inbox, then make sure to subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into it. So, firstly, howdy again, everyone. I really don't know how to start these videos, especially this one, as Reiner's not here to fight anyone. I mean, I was considering Mortalodon, but let's just say it's like putting a coffin shin against a nuclear bomb. So, what to start with? Well, I thought long and hard. When making super prey like these, most people look at the Proboscidea and Calosauridae or Ceratopidae families as their go-to genus. But we're gonna go even further back, all the way back to the mid-Triassic, roughly 210 million years ago. And we'll be taking a representative of the Dinosaurs family. That being my favorite animal of all time. Every morning I wake up and thank God for a beautiful day, and thank him that I can only. That being my favorite animal of
why this? You and I both have things going through our mind. I don't have to say it. You know. Why?
All time. Every morning I wake up and thank God for a beautiful day, and thank him that I can walk the same earth as these glorious beasts from long ago. I present to you the greatest animal of all time, the Lisovicia.
It's so big and chunky. I want to give it a hug. Oh, you're so precious.
These fellers came in at 15 feet in length and stood about 9 feet tall at the hips and weighed in at a max of 8 tons. These guys are a perfect base. Many other tank bases, as we've already mentioned, have something going on that can complicate things. Whether it's the armor and wrecking ball of the Ankylosaurus, the frill and horn of the trike, or the trunk and tusks of the elephant. But Lisovicia? Nope. These guys are as simple as they get. Big, fat, and have a beak. These guys are so painfully boring and simple that they are the perfect base for any hybrid. You want a fast Lisovicia? Doable. A stealthy one? Easy. One that can climb trees? I don't doubt it. They are the blank canvas in the animal kingdom, and I mourn their death daily. But why do we pick them as a base? Well, besides the fact that I'm biased to them, and they're the greatest animal of all time, they provide great size, stability, and a strong beak. And as you said, they are so blank that we can really do whatever we want. So with that mentioned, let's up his defenses, shall we? Let's start with the beak. Well, to start, we first need to already understand how crazy Liso's bite is. Now, for those who don't truly understand how big these guys were, here's a reconstruction of their head. Yeah. Now, it's very difficult to say how strong these guys' bite force was, as sadly there just really isn't much fossil info on them. This is due to a lack of interest in the Triassic beasts, as everyone is more interested in stuff like the T-Rex, because, you know, of course. And secondly, it's a Triassic. It's a miracle if a fossil lasts from the Cretaceous, much less an additional 100 million years from the Triassic. So all we really have is scattered parts. But given their sheer size, these guys would likely have a bite anywhere from 1,000 to 1,400 psi. That's just my educated guess, though, given the very limited info we have. So while it's not animal popping like the T-Rex, it's still mad impressive, especially for a herbivore. So, who's first up making his bite bones devastating? Well, flying in at 25 miles an hour, at 1.25 pounds, we have the Imperial Woodpecker.
Why are you putting a bird with it? Holy fudge!
This little fella has one of, if not the strongest beaks in the entire woodpecker family. These guys are essentially biological jackhammers. Their beaks had a strong outer layer of keratin that was densely packed and highly abrasion resistant. Below that, they had bone that was reinforced with a spongy core, allowing them to absorb the shock of their blows. This allows the Imperial to hit as hard as he needed to. Along with the beak, they also had great neck muscles and a phenomenal shock absorbent system, but more on that later. We'll be taking the gene that is responsible for the beak hardening and endurance factor and pasting it into our Liso, having it only affect the front of the beak, but not these little side parts. But speaking of the side parts, let's cover those next. Now, this part of the beak is weird. Now, personally, I don't really have a clue what this is. They're just some sort of weird, enlarged, keratinized jaw flanges, or essentially, it's just tusks. It's pretty much just a tusk, more or less. This part of the beak likely did two things. Firstly, shearing plants. While the main part of the beak actually bit down, these side parts likely sheared the plants and were the real cutting power. Along with that, sexual display, which I'm not gonna explain as that's not important to that.
Yeah, we don't need to know about that, Goji Guy.
Better. Well, let's give it some guillotine chopping power, shall we? The next genetic contributor is the one and only Thylacoleo.
Pretty. Hi.
A marsupial with some of the scariest back teeth in the animal kingdom. As you see here, they did have some normal teeth, yes, but it's the back ones we're really interested in. These elongated, sharpened teeth allow the thylo to bite through most prey with ease. The teeth acting like one of those paper trimmers you have in your art class. Now, the tricky part is how we're going to apply
those
this.
are fun to use.
Firstly, I want to mention, in terms of realism, we aren't looking at Vex or Hank 2.0 levels, so stretch your realism boundary a little bit. Now, it's hard to explain how we'll apply this without a 3D model, but I'll try my best. Hey, lol, editing Goji Guy here. We made a 3D model of it. Yeah, enjoy. Within the inner side of the beak tusk things, both in the top and bottom, the tusk will become more angular and slanted, allowing the top of the mouth to practically lock into place, but now with razor-sharp edges. So already we have woodpecker reinforcement, and now natural blades on the side. Already, if you get caught within this bite, you'll likely lose a limb. But let's go further. The tusks themselves are already at a good angle for shearing, but we want to be able to clamp down even better and chomp through whatever is presented. So thanks to the thylo's front teeth, these teeth will cause the tusk to bend, so now it clamps shut even better. But let's move on to the next contributor. The jaw is already crazy sharp, but how can we make the entire thing even sharper? Well, we're taking a contributor from the original Hank's gene pool, and are going to be using it much more sparingly this time. A fish with arguably the deadliest bite in the seas, the Dunkleosteus.
Just a lot of focus on the mouth, just because that's where you gotta eat and probably defend and bite at the predator trying to bite you.
Now, along with many of these animals, it will have more effects later, but for now, let's angle those edges just right. And so that now, this guy's beak will be sharpening. The Dunkleosteus, like most animals, were able to sharpen their teeth passively. Now, dunks did this because of two things. One, that being the food they ate, which we can't replicate, but the second reason we can. As a top predator in the ocean, you can't afford to have a dull jaw, can you? So, how'd they sharpen their jaws? Well, its jaw plates rubbed against each other with every bite, each time grinding a new sharp edge. Just like the paper tumor joke I made earlier, their jaws were able to sharpen themselves like a whetstone. So, the already angled jaw will be further modified so that Reiner's jaw grinds against itself, sharpening its beak whenever he needs to eat. And keep in mind, the dunks did this when they ate, which was likely a couple times a day. But a herbivore like Reiner, who has to eat plants non-stop? Yeah. This dude, within just a few months of his life, will have
the
a
amount
jaw
of
as sharp as
calories that
swords.
thing's gotta eat.
Let's add one last contributor, the one that's been used in practically every hybrid there is. I finally cave into its empire. The short-tailed shrew makes itself known.
That thing has been taken a lot with Goji Center. And it makes sense that other people would want to use that.
You all know why he's
helpful
here,
design.
let's be real. This short-tailed shrew has a lot of iron deposits within his teeth. We'll be taking the specific gene responsible for doing that and have it run wild within Reiner's crazy dense
such a
beak
cool
and skull
picture.
bones. But thankfully, the rest of his body won't be as compact as his beak, so the rest will stay as normal bone, at least for now. The shrew's iron enrichment would go wild within Reiner's face, the deposits being practically everywhere, making his entire beak iron enriched, which is what gives him that demon look. So, now we have one of the largest
But
beaks
it's
in the
good
animal kingdom,
defensively for
reinforced by the imperial
intimidation.
woodpecker, tusks that have been manipulated to look like Thylacoleo, Dunkleosteus self-sharpening attributes, and then all iron enriched? Yeah, it's safe to say we will bite through anything. Whether it's Hank's stomach, Indom 2.0's tail, or Samson's tusk, anything that finds its way into biting range will be detached from the body within seconds.
That thing's
Along with a few
taking
other
it
things
apart.
that we'll cover very soon,
Animal
it's
after
safe to say
animal.
already we have made a devastating bite that no matter which hybrid you are, you won't want to be near. So with the beak down, let's move on to the rest of his head.
Even the
Now, the
Indom
head
might
is
want to take a
interesting.
step back.
As you will see,
like
the rest of his
regular
body is pretty well
Indom.
protected. His butt will be a weapon, so his behind is fine. Going underneath him is just asking to be crushed, and if you attack his sides, you'll just be rammed. But one area that is still vulnerable is his back. Now, while I admit this isn't a perfect fix, we've devised a good countermeasurement. Next up in the genome is the American bison.
Woo! Oh, it's so fluffy. Just want to give it scritches.
Given his Lysovicia base, which lacks a detached frill similar to Trike's, his skull has plenty of room to grow and develop bison horns. Taking the genome that is responsible for said horns, Reiner now can grow long horizontal horns that
Holy
go
frick,
out and
could this
slightly
thing
back.
also
At first, we plan on having them face forward.
do
but
really
we've
well
changed that
against
as
the
one,
hyper-aggressive
the beak is a more
Spino?
viable weapon for attacking head-on, so there's just no need. And secondly, they would be almost unusable at that angle, making it super difficult to hit anything. So turns out, simple is better. Rather than tweaking them forward as we first did, the best bet is to just take them how they are. Now, if and when a hybrid climbs onto his back, Reiner has a good shot at stabbing deep into them with his horns. But another thing, the Lysovicia in the room, the red face. What is it? All right, well, put your tinfoil hats on, let me cook. The entire kitchen's about to burn down. All right, so this is Dunkleosteus influence once more. Now, before we explain, we're assuming the Dunk's armor was on top of their skin. Now, in recent studies, we're starting to have more evidence that the Dunks had the armor underneath their skin rather than on top. Now, whether you want to use that or not is up to you, but all we want is the outer face armor. So if you don't think the Dunks did have this, then just imagine it's a Jurassic World one instead. Now onto the how. How does he grow this armor? Well, rather than imprinting the literal bone structure of the Dunk, as if we were to copy and paste it, instead, the Dunk's genes will be spliced ever so perfectly as to where they grow around the head rather than grow in their natural shape. Think of it like a designer cat or dog. He'll be crafted just right so that his bone structure will grow and protect all of the vulnerable parts of his face, giving him an almost demon-like look. So with all that mentioned, that's the head complete.
Looks like
But
something that would
there's
come
one
out
major
of
issue that presents
Satan's
itself now, the weight.
dreams,
With a denser
to be honest.
iron-reinforced beak, along with iron-reinforced bone on his face, Reiner's head weighs much more than the average Lysovicia neck could normally hold. So, next up, let's make the neck stronger. Now, luckily, two of the previously mentioned contributors again show up here, starting with the woodpecker. Now, sadly these guys are extinct, at least as far as we know, we can get a solid estimate on their neck strength given they're not so dead relatives, such as the pileated or great slatty woodpeckers. These birds can deliver up to 1,200 Gs of force with every strike, meaning their heads endure 1,200 times the force of gravity in a single impact. For context, humans start to black out around 5 to 9 Gs, and a serious car crash might hit you with 50 to 100. Yet woodpeckers do this 20 times per second without any brain damage.
Nature's
this thanks to
crazy,
their
dude.
specialized shock-absorbent muscles and bone structure in their neck and
You
skull,
created some
which is
weird
exactly
animals,
the kind of
God.
reinforcement Reiner needs to be able to handle the sheer weight and recoil of his iron-reinforced beak. These incredibly powerful muscles, at a larger scale like this, along with some other contributors, already give Reiner an incredibly strong neck. But he does need a little bit more if he doesn't want to have constant neck pains. Next up, adding to the strength of the neck, the Barbary lion.
Ooh, that's where that beautiful mane.
The Barbary lion, also extinct, good job humans, also known as the Atlas lion, was the largest lion to ever
we
exist.
just keep on
Not only the
collecting
largest lion,
numbers
but
of
also,
animals dead.
debatably, the largest feline to ever exist. The only cats that pose a threat to its crown being the Siberian tiger or the Smilodon populator. What is a populator, you may ask? Well, it's this right here. Today's video is brought to you by Creative Beast Studios, and I'm so happy to show off their Smilodon populator. While I unbox this, let me tell you all about the populator. coming in at a maximum of 3.7 meters in length and an insane 672 kilograms. These cats were beasts, roaming the earth only 10,000 years ago, likely being one of the top cats of the Felidae family.
Might have to go find some toys to buy for my son
as we
for
said,
Christmas.
that would be anywhere near close would be the Siberian tiger or the Barbary lion. Well, how do I know this? Well, I got a lot of awesome info from this card that's in the box itself. Not only do you get an awesome figure, but you learn about its history in the process. But let's look at the figure itself. This toy has an amazing paint job and an absolutely breathtaking sculpt. Oh, well, Goji Guy, you're just saying that because they're sponsoring the video. Well, I can see why you'd say that. Keep in mind, I bought from these guys far before the sponsorship. They're a Kilometer figure, being one of my best pickups from this year's G-Fest. I wouldn't be showing off their products if I truly didn't think it would interest you all. Though, one disclaimer before buying their stuff. Once you buy a Creative Beast toy of any sort, your others will start to look pretty dookie. Along with all this, you get all sorts of accessories to truly customize your Smilodon. If you're a kaiju or dino fan that has been wanting a dinosaur figure in the same quality as a Haya figure, trust me, Creative has you covered. They have beasts ranging from Allosaurus jimitseni and Pachycephalosaurus wyomingensis to the woolly mammoth and the Andrewsarchus mongoliensis. Oh, and they have their own cool project. If you've ever wanted to say, I don't know, add weapons to your beast of the past, well, take a look at their Cyberzoic lineup. Or to be found in buying your prehistoric. Make sure to check out the first link down below. Thank you, Beast. Let's get back to it. Now, the Barbary line will be used for their insane neck muscle volume, having an incredibly thick and powerful musculature arrangement. Though, with that being said, we need to be careful how we mix it with the woodpecker's muscles. While the woodpecker's muscles are crazy strong, there isn't much. So what we will be doing is pulling the sheer volume of muscle from the Barbary lion, but having Reiner develop those muscles more like the woodpeckers. Think of it like this. The lion provides the scaffolding, while the woodpecker provides shock-absorbent tech, protecting Reiner's brain and neck from getting damaged during high-speed strikes. As high as he can go, of course, which isn't that quick. Together, they form a neck that is not just strong, but engineered specifically to hold his head and to be able to take heavy blows and thrash around with insane force. And all this also provides Reiner with the hardware needed for his crazy bite. And lastly, another animal that's already made itself known, the American bison. Now, what are we taking from these guys? Well, besides the horns from earlier, we're also taking their vertebrae attributes. What do I mean? Well, take a look for yourself. A bison's vertebrae C3 through C5 are larger, thicker, and more robust than the normal vertebrae. The thick vertebrae from the bison lets Reiner not only support the weight of his massive skull, but also supports the constant tension of pulling, thrashing, and biting without snapping under pressure. Not only does it help as is, but by extending the surface area of his neck, it now allows the lion's growth patterns to go even further, adding even more muscle than normal.
Further beyond.
How will that work? Who knows? Anyways, we now have woodpecker-like muscles at the volume and thickness of the Barbary lion. That is then further extended by the bison and its vertebrae. Said vertebrae also help support the neck even more. But there are a few other things to add. Firstly, Reiner's mane. One of the few places unprotected is Reiner's neck. While he does have a dunkly osseous bone, as you can see here, there's still an open gap with a whole bunch of muscle, and said muscle needs to be protected at all costs. So, we'll be altering the lion's main attributes to grow through his scales, which we'll cover in a moment. Now, why is it white, you may ask? Well, I don't know. It looks cool. All right, man. Just keep up. This huge mane
it's all for
allows Reiner to
aesthetics.
stay safe from bites to the neck. Attackers now being met with a mouthful of fur rather than his thick, juicy muscles below. Along with all that, Reiner can now blast through flesh like a shotgun using his beak. With the bison and woodpecker being added, Reiner would instinctively want to be able to use his head to ram when needed, such as when woodpeckers are trying to find food or make a home, and how bisons ram into each other with their horns. Reiner's beak will now be used to stab deep into attackers, puncturing deep holes into their flesh. And the woodpecker and bison are a perfect mix for this, as Reiner already has great shock-absorbent muscles, but now with the extended vertebrae that will spread out the blow over his elongated structure, Reiner could run full speed into a brick wall and be A-okay.
That could become a
so
predator.
not only does he have a crazy bite, but he can now ram with his beak and horns and absolutely gore any other animal in his wake. So, with the neck buffed, onto his armor. Next up is his armor. Now, before we begin on this, I want to mention something. I was going to wait to mention this at the end of the video, but most of you guys leave way before then. Who is clicking off of a video after 4 seconds? Anyways, there's a reason I am doing this video, and that's just to bring hype to the Triassic period. That's why we're using Lisovici as a base. So many animals from the Triassic have very minimal research done, and very little interest in the first place. Most people rather focus on trying to find dinos like T-Rex or Spino, which, while cool, yeah, they are literally ignoring one of the most interesting time periods in Earth's history. So, let's make a deal. I want this video to spread far and wide, to hype up stuff from the Triassic and before. There are too many amazing animals that we leave unchecked and deserve just as much respect.
Jurassic Park really could have showcased a lot of other creatures.
I don't usually ask for like goals.
They keep going back to the same old. They're great, but
if this video can reach 30,000 likes, I know that's a huge goal, I will fly all the way to Warsaw, Poland, and go to the Museum of Evolution. Why? Well, they're the only institute that has a Lisovicia skeleton. So if you want to learn more about cool stuff like that in the future and make me spend a crap ton of my own money on a plane ticket, then make sure to like the video video to bring some hype to these underappreciated beasts of the past. Oh, and subscribe too, of course. Anyways, durability, skin, scales, yada yada. Let's go. So what armor are we looking for? Well, in Reiner's armor, there are two contributors we're interested in. Those being the best two animals from Hank 2.0 and Indom 2.0's genome. The Dwarf Croc and the Mylodon.
Gotta have the croc. It's got good armor. It's got good scales. And you beef that up? Oof. Oh.
Now we need to mix these properly. We're taking the Dwarf Croc scutes as they help against any slashing attacks, while the Mylodon has thick, dense skin with tiny dermal ossicles, aka bone nodules.
I would not want to walk through a cave
how will this skin
and
work?
see
Well,
that.
it's weird, so let's break it down. There will be more or less 3 layers to Reiner's armor, starting with the base layer. This bottom layer is mostly Mylodon-like tough connective tissue, being both thick and durable. This acts almost as shock absorbent, and is the main damage resistance layer. On top of that, we have the dermal layer. This layer will be embedded with large, denser croc-like osteoderms. Think of them like big scales that are locked into the tough base hide. And finally, the top layer, that being the epidermis. This layer is covered in keratinized croc scales, or more accurately, scutes, similar to those of the dwarf croc. And due to Reiner's body type, they might even show subtle overlapping patterns for mobility at the joints, though they aren't perfect. Now, the only issue is the mane. How does it grow? Well, I suppose the best argument is that it would just take a long time, not growing nearly as quickly as the hair from far below needs to grow and sprout out of the gaps between the scutes. But after a long time, the mane could grow in. Next up is a interesting contributor. Reiner is covered when it comes to his face, being able to bite through just about anything presented, and he's able to gore predators out of chasing him. He has his mane to protect his neck, and croc scute skin stuff to protect his underbelly and give him overall great durability. But he isn't agile for crap, meaning if he needs to turn around to attack or protect his behind, it'll be hard for him to do so quickly. So how do we fix this?
You do seem heavy.
Overseer, my Australian pal, you'll be happy to see this guy. One of the cutest little guys down under, with their reinforced butt plating, we present the Wombat.
Oh, he's adorable. I was not prepared for the mouth. I've never seen the mouth of a wombat
now, if you know
before.
anything about the wombat, you likely know why it's here. But to those who don't, I want you to guess. I'll give you a moment. How do you think wombats kill their pursuers? Their teeth? Claws? Maybe tools or poison? I'll give you a sec. All right,
No,
got it?
I don't know.
Wrong. The wombats kill, I kid you not, with their butts. Wombats have a reinforced bone-plated rump, if you will, having a super dense plate of fused bone, pretty much like butt bone armor. Want proof?
What?
Well, back to what I asked. Wombats literally kill by crushing a predator's skull in their burrow using their butt. Adding this to the giant that is Reiner means if he were to sit on any attacker, he will break some bones and likely pop them just by sitting down.
I know there's jokes being thought up.
He'll be able to ram his
say
bony
no
butt
jokes,
into
everybody.
attackers, easily knocking over the likes of Indom 2.0 or the Hanks. So now does his butt not only have great durability, but now if a predator tries to sink their claws or, Lord forbid, their teeth into his bottom, yikes.
Yeah,
they
that's
will
gonna
have
be
a rough time. They would honestly
that's
hope
breaking
their teeth break on
bones.
impact, as if they get stuck, they will be getting crushed. Or Reiner again can move side to side, either ripping their teeth out or killing them from the whiplash. So
That's like trying to bite into something soft and chewy and like maybe, for instance, like a gummy, and all of a sudden, that is a sensation no one wants to have and no one enjoys having. You know exactly what sensation I'm talking about, and you hate it just as much as I do.
with that at play, we have 3 more contributors left. And after that, we'll cover the issues he'll face day to day, and what his genome has to help. Next up is his inner workings. Now, when it comes to editing his inside, there's really only one notable thing, that being his lungs. Along with the Mylodon from earlier, we're also throwing in Thanatophthis.
This is one I've never heard of. Never.
Just like Hank 2.0, this is being added to allow him to have great lungs, allowing Reiner to go underwater for a few minutes. If he were to just stand there, he could likely stay underwater for like 15, 20 minutes, but if he's fighting, it's closer to 5. So, it's more just here to allow him to stay underwater, which we'll cover why soon, and to add more congruity to the hybrid, given it already has Mylodon within. So with that being mentioned, let's move on to the issues he would face, and what the genome has to negate the problems. First up, let's cover the big issue, his face. While cool and durable, that much iron can cause a lot of issues, specifically iron poisoning. If you don't know what happens when you get this, let me break it down so you can grasp the severity of it. Now, this happens when iron overloads the blood. Now, while it's mostly on the outside, over time, it could cause some effect. Firstly, it can damage DNA, proteins, and cell membranes. Along with that, organs will start to deteriorate from the inside out, especially the liver and the gastrointestinal tract. Pretty much its entire digestive system, including your mouth, stomach, both intestines, and much more. You'll also start to vomit often, have internal bleeding, and it can even cause your heart to fail. So this is a big issue. Other hybrids like Indom 2.0 or Hank have iron, but only in tiny amounts. While Reiner over here looks like he got his iron from X-Ray in a Minecraft server. So what will he use to balance out? The mighty and graceful domestic pig.
I mean, if it does the job, it does the job. You can never go wrong with a pig.
pigs have evolved over time to take in and regulate iron extremely efficiently. This is due mostly to their gastrointestinal tract and liver being so good at filtering and detoxifying. Adding this to his genome now makes it that the limited excess iron that makes it from his face into his blood will be filtered and taken care of before he has any chance of getting serious damage. As we covered earlier, his neck has been heavily modified to carry his head, thanks to the bison, woodpecker, and lion. Though his joints will also have to deal with the new weight, so how will he hold up over time? Luckily, 3 contributors help with that. Firstly, Mylodon. Similar to his fellow big back Samson, will be incorporating the Mylodon's extra foot bones into
Big
Reiner.
backs
Luckily,
unite,
though,
baby.
Lisoviccia already had an incredibly built foot, and the Mylodon structure on top of that helps spread the weight out even further, which now also makes it harder for him to tip over. Along with all of that, due to his size and weight, which will increase greatly with the next contributor, we need to have good joints. Thankfully, Thalathocnus contributes great joint longevity, and the dwarf crocs already have very durable joints and can heal slowly over time, so any aching and injuries are helped with those contributors. But now it's time. The final contributor. And this is where it gets really odd. Now, adding what we're about to add will shave some years off of Reiner's life, but it's not like he'll know that. It is yet to be in any hybrid at this point. It's not an animal, nor is it a plant. It's a mutated gene. The final contributor to Reiner's genome is gigantism.
Well, that's one thing to put in there. Make him bigger and beefier.
Reiner, while menacing, isn't that large. And if he wants to be able to defend himself, he needs to get larger, heavier, and stronger. Adding gigantism will shorten his lifespan by a few years, and he will have times where he has sore joints, but thankfully, the wide range of contributors allows Reiner to live with this mutation without much worry. So, here he is, Reiner.
Everything
aka
works
Lisodurax
together and
improvax.
stacks nicely. Reiner.
This chonker comes in at 15 feet tall and weighs a hefty 12 tons. From durable black scales, to a shining white mane, to his unstoppable bite, Reiner is a freight train with blades. But now with Scary Boy's genome at play, let's move on to his home. Now, as I promised, I don't know if I promised it in the script, I've been writing this for a few days now. Despite Reiner looking like a hellspawn, he's just a cute little guy. Now, firstly, we need to select a home for Reiner
He's
to
a
live.
cute
So we'll
big
be
guy.
demolishing the reserve there, and we'll be placing Reiner in Hell's Gate Geothermal Reserves in New Zealand. Now, why do we place Reiner there? Well, I'm glad you asked. This place gives Reiner the 3 things he loves most: dirt, water, and mud. Starting with water. Now, besides the fact that, well, he needs to drink water, but along with that,
Every
there's
animal
one
does.
issue he still would struggle with, that being overheating. If on a hot day and he has no shade, Reiner can overheat, and he doesn't have a great way to cool off. So being near water allows him to go in and cool off. Not only that, but it allows him to escape any predators, simply by just running into the water. Thanks to his good lungs and weight, he will just sink and walk on the riverbed, allowing him to escape predators and cool off when needed. Next up, dirt. Now, besides the fact that he of course will need to eat a lot of plants every day to stay full, he will also burrow. Thanks to the wombat and Mylodon DNA, Reiner instinctually knows to burrow into the ground.
That also
like
keep
some contributors, he will burrow to give himself a safe home, allowing him to place stockpiles of food and use it as a weapon against predators, which we'll cover in a moment.
Use
And
that big
lastly,
butt and just-
mud. Yes, really. Now, why does mud matter? Well, a few reasons. Firstly, it'll prevent him from being bored. Thanks to the pig and bison DNA, Reiner will wallow when bored, and also use it as a way to clean himself. The mud will also provide relief to his joints and sore spots, but most interestingly, it helps with his iron. Now, I want to say off the bat, I sucked at biology and chemistry. I do not know how I passed those classes. So I'm going to do an absolute face value
Same.
scrape of this, and if you have any further questions in the comments, do not expect a reply, as I have no clue how to elaborate further. For this, I actually had to contact my chemistry professor and make sure everything checked out. And she said, more or less, yeah. Let me explain. Reiner, while having pig DNA, which would help greatly with the iron management, could over time grow too much iron. That's where the mud comes in. The mud found in Hell's Creek is high in bentonite and sulfuric clays, which have a negative ionic charge, meaning they are drawn to and draw out heavier metals such as iron. So by him playing in the mud, he can manage and regulate his iron amounts, as the mud will be doing a process called cationic exchange.
That's cool.
Lowering his iron amounts by a tiny fraction, which will be just enough to manage the growth of iron over the years. So he can cool off and go for a swim in the water, he eats plants and burrows into the ground, and wallows in the mud to help with joints, boredom, and iron amounts. Reiner is just a little guy. He likes to roll in mud, dig holes, and easily gets distracted by colorful bugs. While he may look scary, I promise he's not. Anyways, let's cover
As long
how
as you don't
brutally
piss him
murders the
off
competition.
or try
Now,
to
while
eat
most
him.
people would hope their hybrid fights a brutal, epic battle. Reiner, yeah, not really. Firstly, dismembering. Now, thanks to Reiner's insane bite, he'll be able to bite through anything. Even talking about the hybrids in comparison is a disservice. I really don't think there is a single body part of any animal that would stay intact from a bite from this guy. Like I said, whether it's the Indom's tail, Hank's belly, or Samson's tusk, he will chomp right through it with ease. Well, what about armor? He
Love
can't
that.
bite through that, as it's too difficult to land a bite. Well, that is correct. Let's use Samson as an example. His armor is too flat for Reiner to be able to bite properly, so how does he get around it? Well, second up, goring. Thanks to his reinforced iron beak, along with his shock-absorbent muscles, and the sheer force he'll be hitting with, he will easily break through any armor and flesh, creating giant holes in other hybrids' bodies, which could cause them to bleed out if he lands multiple. If they get away, they'll infect over time, and along with all of that, depending on how long his beak is lodged into their veins, he might be able to give them iron poisoning. So we have limbs being chomped off, or being gored and dying of infection afterwards. But there's quite a bit more. Next up, the horns. This one is simple, but likely wouldn't happen much. If Reiner's in a 1 of a million battle, where another hybrid is on his back, if he can land the proper hit, he could land a devastating blow with his horns, possibly stabbing his horn into the attacker's throat, causing them to bleed out, and crushing their windpipes. And all of that is just his head. Let's move on to the rest of his body. Firstly, his underside. If you're a smaller hybrid and try to go underneath, thinking you can cut open his belly, well, now you have 11 tons of fat falling onto you. Good job. And while it likely won't kill, his body alone is like an ankylosaur tail. If he rams into you from the side, his sheer weight will break bones and knock over the heaviest attackers. But now onto the funniest ways he can kill. Firstly, death from the rump. If you decide to chase Reiner into his burrow, now like a wombat victim, you will have your skull crushed from Reiner ramming his bottom against your head into the ceiling of his burrow, just breaking your skull and killing you instantly.
I kind of picture it because, you know, if you've ever seen videos of toddlers or babies and everything, like, they will be near their parents' head and just start sitting down. That's how I picture Reiner. It's just like, poof, poof, poof. Oh, God, leave me alone.
And lastly, the funniest one. Let's assume we go to attack him while he's drinking some water. After enough time, he'll turn around and bite you. You'll feel the sharp pain from his bite, but your leg, it's still attached. That's strange. Well, that's when Reiner will run as hard as he can into the water, mouth still clamped onto the attacker. And thanks to superior lungs and the fact that he sinks, Reiner will drag his attacker into the water and wait for them to drown before walking back up to enjoy some food and play in the mud. So, slicing, goring, crushing, drowning, and stomping. Reiner has a good counter to all types of attackers. Waking up from his burrow, eating some grass, rolling in mud, watching butterflies, brutally killing his attackers, and drinking some water is on his daily schedule. So, there he is. I hope you all enjoy him just as much as I do.
If he reproduces, people would be screwed. Oh, Goji Guy was right. Goji Guy was right. I liked Reiner. Reiner is adorable. Reiner is... Oh, I'll give him all the scritches. Oh my gosh, that was so awesome. And just seeing that, if this was a creature that existed and if it could reproduce, holy crap, would it actually probably start knocking off potential rivals and a lot of predators. That's where, I mean, nature... with people's help, has a habit of sometimes killing off lines of animals that we, you know, love and miss. And I have a feeling that, you know, if hybrids of animals could exist, they would start doing it themselves. But this was really fun. This was really cool. And I really just love watching the creativity of a lot of these creators and just making some incredibly cool looking animals, whether they be prey or predator of both, like mammalian or dinosaur. Like, it's just so fun and so cool. I absolutely love it. It's beautiful. I love it so much. If you enjoyed this as much as I did, though, because I've just been rambling, so make sure to smash that like button if you've been enjoying this. If you have any comments about this video, let me know right down below what you thought about this and this creation. And if you have any videos like to see me react to in the future, give me some suggestions right down below. Take them all into consideration. And if you're new around here and you've been enjoying what you're seeing, why not click that subscribe button and click that bell to get notified of the next video. I will see you on the next one, though. Bye-bye!